I want to continue today a series of classes that we started last year. Rabbi Yואel gave a series of classes about the character of Torah, what Torah is. And last time we were learning about this, we were exploring the voices that come from heaven and how the Torah says that you don't pay attention to voices from heaven when it comes to giving halachic ruling. And we're trying to understand how that makes sense. I mean, if Hashem himself is giving us an announcement from heaven about what the reality is meant to be, what the reality is, so how are we ignoring that and giving halachic ruling different to the voice from heaven? Heaven is giving an opinion. How are we ignoring heaven's opinion? So what we learned is that although everything that comes from Hashem is true, however, within truth itself, there are different levels. And the truth that comes from heaven is not the same as the truth of halacha. Halacha is a different kind of truth. The truth from heaven is called emes, and the truth of halacha is called emes hamit, the truth of truth. Now, in our vernacular, when we say something is more true than something else, that means that part of it is false. Something is more true. I'm learning now the laws of Nevas Das, the laws of cheating, in the Alter Shulchan Aruch. The Alter talks about how different scenarios which seem like you're not really stealing anything, but halacha looks at things in a very with a magnifying glass and says this cannot be. This is not true. You can't say one word to someone that isn't authentic. You can't pretend that you went to someone's wedding, for example, and when you actually were going there on a business trip, you have to tell them, no, actually, I was here on a business trip and I wanted to stop by, because otherwise they will owe you a favor. Because you...
the person of the wedding.
You're going to the chassan, and the chassan, wow, how'd you get here? It's a wedding in the middle of Timbuktu. You must be that you came for my wedding. So if you would actually go to his wedding because you love the guy, okay, so then you just happen to have a business trip, that's fine. But if you're not ready to go to this guy's wedding, it's not that kind of friend, that wouldn't warrant that kind of trip. So then the Alter says you're not allowed to leave him with that impression, because then he thinks, like, I owe you this big favor, I have to come to your wedding, whatever. So when we say something is not emes hamit, is not truth of truth, it doesn't mean that part of it is false. In other words, unlike in our vernacular, when we say truth or truth, absolutely true, we mean that part of it is false. In Torah, when we say the voice of heaven is true, it means it's 100% true.
When you look at halacha has different opinions.
Yeah.
But we do say
exactly. So regarding halacha as well, we have to say the same thing, that Beis Yosef is saying the words which are true, and yet the halacha is a different kind of truth. That if we are giving a halachic ruling like the Ramah, so what are we saying about the Ramah's opinion? This is truth of truth. What does truth of truth mean? Well, for sure the words of Beis Yosef are also true. So how do we differentiate between them? So we learned that in regards to Hashem's words to Moshe Rabbeinu, in the beginning of Parshas Ve'era, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu that Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, why have you done evil to your people? And Hashem responds that I am now going to do something new. And what's happening now is a preparation for this new thing that's going to happen. What's the new thing that's going to happen? Ani Havaya. I am Hashem. I'm going to reveal my absolute truth. Until now, I haven't revealed my absolute truth, and now I'm going to reveal my absolute truth. And as a preparation for this, there has to be this suffering in Egypt is a preparation for giving the Torah, which is something more, a higher level of truth that's going to be revealed. So, obviously, all the names of Hashem are true, and yet Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is called Truth of Truth. What does Truth of Truth mean? What does that mean? So, among the names of Hashem, what's unique about the name Yud Kei Vav Kei is a reference to Hashem himself. All other names of Hashem refer to something that Hashem is doing. In other words, the Talmud says that Lefi Ma'aseh Nikra. Hashem says I'm called based upon my actions. When I judge the world, I have the name Elokim. Hashem's names denote how Hashem relates to us in a certain way. Just like when you have a name for a certain person, he's called Dr. So-and-so. You're relating to him because of his experience, because of his knowledge. You're referring to him as something he does. But then there is who he is himself. You're using a Shem HaTorah. You're using a name that describes something he does. But Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is unique, and that's not describing something Hashem is doing, or something Hashem is giving, or something Hashem is involved in, something Hashem is contracting himself to relate to us in a certain way. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is called Shem HaEtzem. It's the name of who he is himself. It's the name of the Hashem's essence. So what's unique about Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is that it's not a light of Hashem. It's not something that Hashem is contracted into to relate to us in a certain way. Rather, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Hashem himself. It's a name which refers to Hashem himself. So Hashem's name himself is called the truth of truth. So what does that mean? What is truth? What is truth of truth? So there's a Mishnah, Masechta Parara, we discussed, that it says that the waters of a mikveh have to come from water which doesn't dry up once in 7 years. Why not? Why can't a river which dries up once in 7 years be used? The Talmud uses a title for these kinds of waters. The Talmud says these are called lying rivers, rivers which lie. Why are they called lying rivers? Because truth is something which has a strength to it. Its strength means that it will go on and on. Sfas emes tikkun la'ad, as the Torah says in Mishlei, the lip of truth lasts forever. When the sign of something which is true is that it goes on and on. So the fact that it dries up once in 7 years, that means it's not really true, because truth and consistency are connected. If something has a strength that will continue and endure and won't stop, that shows that it's real. That's true in time. And just like it's true in time, so is it true also in space. If something is only true in a certain space and it's not true in another space, it's not absolutely, that doesn't have that quality of truth. Truth, in other words, for this discussion, which we're discussing the real definition of truth, doesn't just mean it's not a lie. Truth means that it has a strength, that it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on in time, and also, just like this is true in time, it's also true in space, that it goes on and on and on in space. So, before the giving of the Torah, it says that the mitzvahs our forefathers performed, as we learned in the previous classes, are called fragrances. They're fragrances, they're not the oil itself. However, our mitzvahs are compared to the oil itself. What does that mean? The mitzvahs our forefathers performed, they connected to some ray of godliness, some way that Hashem's light is contracted. Holiness. But it's the word holiness in Hebrew, Kaddish, means it's separate, it's distant. It's not in the physical reality. Their mitzvahs didn't penetrate the physical reality. The physical reality remained as it was before, after they did the mitzvah, whatever the mitzvah they did, and before they did the mitzvah was the same. The mitzvahs that they did were merely like props to get to some kind of a spiritual achievement. It's kind of like, imagine if the halacha was, you don't have to say the words of davening. Imagine if the halacha was, you could think the words of davening. Or, God forbid, imagine someone could only think the word they can, he's unable to speak. Are they missing something? So the Talmud says, Kol mir kavana. When you say something out loud, it helps you concentrate. Diane Raskin, I think I shared this before, amazing thing. It's worth sharing again. It's worth sharing every day. Diane Raskin asked the Rebbe if he should wear a Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And the Rebbe said to him that he wasn't at the time, it was before the Rebbe said everyone should wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin at the age of 13. So he asked the Rebbe if he should wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And the Rebbe said to him he should, if he can concentrate the 10 minutes that it takes to wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Hear that? 10 minutes for Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. If he can concentrate for 10 minutes, then he should wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So after a few months, he comes back to the Rebbe, and he told the Rebbe, I'm not keeping my deal. I'm not keeping the 10 minutes fully concentrated only on the tefillin. So the Rebbe responded, you think the Rebbe will give him a break? You know, he's a little boy. The Rebbe said, one of the things that are helpful to concentrate is to say things out loud. If you say it louder, in other words, you'll be able to concentrate more. Say the words Shema Yisrael that you're supposed to say when you wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Say it louder, it'll help you concentrate. Anyway, so saying it louder has an intrinsic value, as we'll see in a second, but there's also how it's used as a prop. It helps you concentrate. Before the giving of the Torah, it didn't have any, the action itself had no intrinsic value. It was merely a prop, saying the words of davening. When Avram Avinu davened, saying the words physically, just helped him concentrate. It wasn't about impacting the physical world. However, the mitzvahs that we do are called the oil. They have the essence of godliness in it, and therefore they have no limitations. The mitzvahs have no limitations, and therefore they are able to... The essence of Hashem has no limitations, and therefore His holiness permeates the physical reality as well. Before the giving of the Torah, the mitzvahs they performed were spiritual, and therefore they didn't have that infinite power in them to penetrate the physical reality. However, our mitzvahs, they connect to the essence of godliness, and therefore they're able to change the physical reality so that a pair of tefillin has in it already holiness. When you put on the tefillin, actually, as we learned a few weeks ago, you add to the holiness of the tefillin, but even without you putting on the tefillin itself has holiness in it. The physical mitzvah itself is called a chefsa shel kedusha. The animal hide, the parchment is holy itself. Why? Because since it's connecting to the infinite light of Hashem, therefore it penetrates the physical reality as well. It has no limitations. This is also connected to the simple meaning of what Hashem was telling Moshe Rabbeinu then. Besides Hashem telling him that I'm going to reveal myself on a higher level, I'm going to reveal the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, I'm going to reveal my essence, I'm going to give the Torah, Hashem was also telling Moshe Rabbeinu something else. As Rashi says, the simple meaning of what Hashem was saying to Moshe was, I'm going to do something different to what I have done before. I'm going to actually give the land of Israel to my descendants. I promised the land of Israel before, but I haven't actually given it to them. Now I'm going to, since I'm speaking to you from my very essence, I'm speaking to you from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, therefore I'm going to give you the land of Israel. So the question is, what's going on over here? Hashem is saying to Avram, I'm going to give you the land of Israel, and it wasn't true, and now it is true. Like what changed over here? Hashem said, now, before it was a different name of Hashem. I mean, it sounds like lahavdil. It sounds like someone's using a false identity. I wasn't really me. That was somebody else. I promised the land of Israel. Yeah, but that wasn't really me. That was a different name. That was my false identity. I was using the other credit card. Now I'm really going to give you the land of Israel. What does this mean? So actually, if you look in the Gemara Yerushalmi says in the verse, I have given Lazarach Nasati, I've given you the land of Israel to your descendants. The Gemara Yerushalmi says Kfar Nasati. It's not that I will give. Hashem doesn't say to Avram, I will give you the land of Israel. Hashem said, I gave it to you already. Well, I gave it to you already, but there are all these Gentiles living in the land, and they say it's their land. Yeah, of course, they consider it their land, but the reality is it's already yours. Okay, that reality is a higher reality. That reality is truth. But in the physical reality, in order to get the land of Israel, you have to actually fight the wars and conquest the land. So when Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm going to give you the land of Israel, from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Hashem tells Avram Avinu from the names Kel Shakai, I'm going to give you the land of Israel, it's a whole different thing from our perspective. One is true in a higher world. One is true from the perspective of God's reality. And one's true from the perspective of the human reality. Hashem is saying there's going to be a change in the actual ownership of the land of Israel. It's going to actually now be transferred to someone else. It's actually going to be in your hands. You have to be able to say it's mine and plow it and plant it and use it. It's a whole different thing. Why? Because this promise is coming from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's coming from God's very essence. And because it's coming from God's very essence, therefore it... having a fun time over here on my phone. Whatever. Chaim V'rach. So since it's coming from Hashem's very essence, therefore it has no limitations. And since it has no limitations, ironically, because it comes from a higher place, therefore it is a change in the physical reality. So this is identical to the spiritual change of Hashem telling Moshe Rabbeinu that he is going to reveal himself from a higher place, going to reveal his very essence. The revelation of Hashem's very essence in the mitzvahs that we're doing is parallel, it's similar to Hashem's promise to the land of Israel. Before the giving of the Torah, the mitzvahs were spiritual mitzvahs. They didn't affect their physical reality. Because it's now coming from the essence of Hashem, therefore the mitzvah itself is holy. Okay. So this explains something also about what we were asking before about halacha. Everything that comes from Hashem is true. But we said halacha is emes la'amita, it's truth of truth. What does that mean? even after giving the Torah, when we're studying any concept of Torah, yes, the Torah affects your physical brain. When you understand the concept of Torah, you're bringing godliness into your brain. As it says in chapter 5 in Tanya, that Torah is called bread. Because just like bread connects your soul to your body, so too when you learn Torah, you're connecting the infinite light of Hashem to your soul. You're absorbing godliness in your soul. You're bringing something into you that from something, you're bringing Hashem Himself into you. You're nourishing your soul. Why? Because you're bringing Hashem's infinite light into you. However, there's still a difference between the halachic ruling and those opinions which are not the halachic ruling. In other words, although every opinion is the word of Hashem, and not just the word of Hashem, it's the word of Hashem after the giving of the Torah. It's a mitzvah. When you study Torah, you study the opinion of the Beis Yosef, you study the opinion of Rav Ashi, although the halacha doesn't follow Rav Ashi, you're still bringing godliness into your physical brain. Why? Because you're doing a mitzvah. That means this is not just Torah before Mount Sinai. This is Torah after Mount Sinai. It's changing the physical reality. And yet, halacha doesn't follow this opinion. Let's speak in detail. Let's say you learn the opinion of there's two opinions of how to put on tefillin, and you learned another opinion. You don't put on tefillin, or you don't put on tefillin according to halacha. You put on the Binatan tefillin. Binatan tefillin is a different kind of divine revelation. But as far as the mitzvah of tefillin, the mitzvah of tefillin is a Rashi tefillin. If you put on a Binatan tefillin, you're not doing the mitzvah of tefillin. What if you learn about a Binatan tefillin? If you learn about Rabbi tefillin, you're doing the mitzvah of learning Torah, and you're changing your physical brain. Your physical brain is now absorbing godliness. Your brain is now becoming one with God's wisdom. It's not just like Avram learned Torah, where it didn't affect the physical reality. It's affecting the physical reality. And yet, if you put on the tefillin of Rabbi Tam, you're not doing the mitzvah of tefillin. It's not bringing down the same level of godliness as you are when you do the mitzvah of tefillin. Why? And the answer is because even within the infinite light of Hashem, there are different levels. So although the infinite light of Hashem is present in all the words of Torah, but in order for it to also be conveyed to your physical hand and your mind, there's a different kind of energy that's needed for your mind, which is a little more of a more refined organ, than to bring the godliness of Hashem's holiness to your hands, to your heart, and bring it down to your body, the lower parts of your body. So when you study you study Torah, the wisdom of Hashem, it does transfer godliness to your brain, but to make a change in your hand and in your heart, that requires a higher level of godliness, and that higher level of godliness is associated with halacha, and only when something is actual halacha can actually change the physical stuff of your hand and your heart and the rest of your body. Let me say it this way. The Gemara says about Rav Ashi, that Rav Ashi gave an opinion about something, and the Gemara says Rav Ashi's opinion is bedutahi, or another girsa is berutahi. It's a lie, it's false. So I mentioned in the previous classes that I believe Yitzchak, Rebbe's father, writes that Hashem himself said the opinion of Rav Ashi, and Hashem himself said that it's a lie. Hashem himself said it's ridiculous.
I think the Rishonim explained that not et is a lie. Whoever brought it down, the students that brought it down in not correct way.
Not correct way. Okay, but let's go to the other opinion.
That's what.
The other opinions say that it's a lie.
Yeah.
And Hashem himself, who's absolutely true, not just Hashem himself, in Gemara, after Mount Sinai. It's in Gemara after Mount Sinai. You say a bracha. You say if you only going to learn one thing in Torah today, you're going to learn the words beruta. You learn the words beduta. You learn the opinion of Rav Ashi. The Gemara says is a lie. You could still say a bracha of Torah on this one sentence of Rav Ashi. The Gemara says is a lie. Why? And not only that, your physical brain is going to be absorbing godliness by learning the opinion of Rav Ashi, which the Gemara says is a lie. Why? Because it is still the wisdom of Hashem, and Hashem himself says that this is absolutely true. Not just it's true like before Mount Sinai, it's true after Mount Sinai, and it affects the physical reality. However, if you're going to follow the opinion of Rav Ashi and do what he says as a halacha, that's something else. Because halacha is about not just something being true, not just the level of godliness which is so infinite it can reach your physical brain. halacha is about not just what you think, halacha is about what you do. In order to connect to what halacha is, halacha draws on a higher level of infinity, if you will, which not only can reach the physical reality of our mind, but also reaches a physical realm of action. And therefore, although the words of Rav Ashi are true and they affect our physical brain, and it's 100%, and it affects physical reality, it's infinite. But halacha is something which is even a higher level of infinity. That's why it's called emes amiti, truth of truth, because it's able to affect also, bring godliness down to the realm of action. Does that make any sense or no? Yeah? Okay, that's what I wanted to share today. Any questions or comments or criticism, tomatoes, cucumbers? All right. L'chaim v'racha.